Hold on one second, everybody online. It'd be nice if we connected first, wouldn't it? Hang on, here we go. All right, everybody, away we go. Welcome to today's call. Whoops, let's unhold you all. Welcome to today's call. It is Friday, April 20th of 2018, and this is the TRC sales training call. And in the hot seat today, I have Anita Tarapur and her team, and we have talked a little bit about following up, in her case, on some of these internet leads. But I want to give a little bit of a recap as to and share something that we went over yesterday in our mastermind. And that is, we wanted to make sure you all understood the unique selling proposition of those trained here at the TRC is that we are a content-based believer, meaning, in other words, we believe that you lead your effort. Forget about all the arguments about techniques, etc. You lead your effort with content. And content is really around these courses, which really then gives a foundation of education. So the whole concept that I think is missing with a lot of the agents is that you need to understand you are indeed an educator before you're anything else. So all this worrying about being perfectly scripted is really problematic. And even for veterans, everybody's trying to find out what is the right script, what is the right formula. Well, it starts best with an outline based on an understanding that everybody needs to understand. So let me get going here with the lines. I just want to make sure we're live online. Thank you for everybody joining online, but I want to make sure I get this syndicated over to a couple of the groups before I open up. Now remember, when I open up the microphones, please be respectful. If you are in a car and you are in a loud place, I need you to hit *6 to mute your microphone, because I have a very clear agenda here today with Anita's group to get right after this for the first part of the call, and then we'll certainly open it up to everybody else's thoughts about this. But I think it's very critical to understand what I just said. I want you all to focus on knowing the core of what we believe here, and that is that you are indeed an educator. That's the key point here. You are an educator, and you need to know the home seller course, the home buyer course, and if you're recruiting, and that's part of your job, you need to know the agent course. Because by giving people an education, you're empowering them to make a good decision that's right for them, and they're going to reward you by doing business with you, okay? Very important to understand that. So let's get right after it here. Let me just open up the microphones here. Bear with me 1 second. And Anita, I expect you guys to step up here today. I don't want to hear too much from these people that are not online. Hang on, what happened to my... I'm having technical difficulties, Laura, tonight. Can you tell? I'm fumbling and stumbling. Hold on. Bear with me 1 second. We'll get you back here. I think I just lost my command post here. Hang on. I've got to get back into the website so I can kick everybody in here. Bear with me. Okay, we should be going here. Okay. You in the hot seat?
Yep, you're here.
Okay, all right, good. All right, somebody's got a super loud mic. I will repeat. If you are in a car, hit star, then 6. Okay, there you go. All right, Anita, so let's get right after this. You tell me exactly what agenda you want to pursue here when it comes to this. I know there's a couple of things that you and I talked about. Number one was, first of all, and probably more important than anything else, you've got to make sure that you're time blocking time for follow-up sales effort, right? Could you do me a favor? I need a better cord than this. I'm going to run out of batteries on that. Your cord there, please. So you have to make sure you're time blocking for this, okay? This is an event that is critical, and you need to be in front of whatever, place it is on a regular basis. I was listening to something about consistency the other day, and I can't fathom how many people think they can take sort of a pot shot at going out there and making their sales calls as a follow-up that's not systematic. I just think that's insanity. You need to remember that this is like an appointment that's critical. It's really important to understand that and get that across, okay? So, Anita, let's hit it here. You jump in here and you lead me in a direction of what is the challenge, other than actually sitting still and doing the darn job through a time block, what's the challenge that your agents are having?
I think the biggest challenge is echoing.
Yeah, Anita, you got a really tough mic. I don't know what's going on there with you. So, are you guys on speakerphone or something? Let me just...
I'm on speakerphone, but I need the team to listen.
Yeah,
so,
that's okay. Can everybody else hear me okay?
And they're internet-based Facebook listening to leads. And they essentially say, oh, I was just looking, or I'm just browsing. And I just would like you to maybe talk about pushing through that initial dialogue of I'm just looking, I'm just browsing,
Yeah.
to get them to actually interact a little more. Yeah.
Hang on. I forgot that I muted myself. Yep, I'm here. All right, hang on. All right. So the bottom line is this, Anita, is that everybody needs to understand that you can't do this free form. So let's hit the beats here, okay? The number one beat is that you have to block the time to do this, and you have to be focused. You also have to be prepared to be set up for success, meaning what? You should be following a formula. Okay? I don't care how many years you've been in the business and what you think you know. You don't know what you don't know. And that includes me. That's all of us. We don't know what we don't know, which is what? Who's going to answer the phone on the other side, and what drama they're going to bring to the situation or not, right? We don't know that. So you need to be set up in this balance where the formula is going to keep you on track so that you are indeed focused on your outcome, right? Your outcome, if it's there, is to be able to at least, bare minimum, book follow-up in the future. I'm not going to call it an appointment, because an appointment would be the very rare breed that you're able to get somebody in that perfect time where they're ready to go, right? So that's almost magic. And to set yourself up with that mentality that if it's either that, or nothing, is insane. You're wrong. You're flat out wrong in your mind. It's called inaccurate thinking. Napoleon Hill talks about it. Because why am I saying that so adamantly with an absolute, which I don't like to use typically, is because it's not the way the business works. Because if it was, there'd be somebody on this call, somebody that I trained, some professional who's going to be perfectly scripted that constantly gets people to say yes to an appointment, and they show up. Right? Ready and qualified, ready to go. I'm not saying that there's not people that aren't very good at scripting that get people to say yes. But a lot of times people are saying yes to get you off the phone. They don't want to talk to you. That's precisely why they're saying things like, I'm just looking, or sure, I'll meet with you. Right? See you later after that. So those are the extremes where somebody actually tells you, no, I was just looking. And that's a put off. Because that means there's not a match there between you and what you're saying and their timing. Does that make sense so far, Anita?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I think that's number one here for your team to understand, is that you've got to be set up for success. Now, I've got this outline, by the way, which I will post. I forgot to do it yesterday. I will post this in the mastermind, in the campfire, and for my Griffin Realty Group agents, the mind map that lays out this formula. But I'm going to walk through it for everybody here today. Number one thing to understand before we can even get to frequently stated objections, that's what I'm going to call them, before I can even get to Anita's point, because I'll deal with a bunch of them, I'm going to give you one line to first rest this on. It's where I started the call. Content supports contextual conversations. Content supports contextual conversations. Content supports contextual conversations. Well, what the heck does that mean? It means that instead of worrying first about what's going to happen in this give or take, understand that what makes you all unique is that you have a formulaic approach to help somebody sell, to help somebody buy. And as I repeat, in case I have, Patrick or Alan or myself leaning in on recruiting agents, help them how to run a business. every one of those three major avatar opportunities, you have to have a core piece of content that empowers them, that educates them, that makes them understand you have a formula that supports them. That's very, very foundational to success on the phone or face-to-face. I don't really care whether it's an inside sale or an outside sale. It becomes very important to understand your core content is everything. If you don't have a copy of the home seller course, the home buyer course, and you haven't read it cover to cover, and you haven't had team meetings around it, well, then you're late. That's the first thing you all should be doing, is reading it, marking it up, asking questions. And I'm going to show you why in a second here. But it's the first step. The next step is, when you call and follow up, the first formulas are very simple. Everybody's heart's beating. Everybody's nervous, no matter what they're calling. And in this case, it's internet leads, okay? Internet leads, by definition, are some of the most whimsical inquiries mixed in with maybe the nuggets of gold, okay? So you have to understand and embrace that context for lead generation first. So the diligence is to sit there and say, I'm going to go through this pile of leads that Anida has given me with, a non-discriminatory approach, meaning I need to call them all because I don't know where the nuggets are. And I don't mean appointment nuggets or client nuggets. I mean conversations. So the first thing is, hey, it's me. Here's the reason I'm calling you. I just wanted to let you know that I sent you or was sending you content. So in this case, Anida has an IDX feed where she is giving away instant access to properties for sale. So you're saying, it's me from this group, and we're sending you that content that you opted in for, right? Now, I'm calling you because that content will help you move along to this positive outcome, presuming that's what you're looking for, right? So again, that's sort of the general narrative to be helpful. It's me. I'm already giving you this. I want to make sure it's working, and I want to make sure it's the right stuff for your needs. What are your needs? That's it. That's all you have to really think about in that very first beat, is that you are truly a concierge desk. If you're already well down the line in your head that you have to get an appointment, that you have to get that outcome, I think you're in big trouble. I do. Laura's nodding her head. She's 2 feet away from me. She's been doing this for 12 years. If you're that far ahead of yourself, I think you've stopped listening to what they need. Now remember, on the internet, we've said this, it's a fabulous way to get people's contact information in exchange for that gift of access to information. We know that. We already know that. But the only reason for that is so that you have then an opportunity to make sure you can get together with them and you can make some sense whether there's an opportunity or not for you. Does that help? You with me so far? Cool? Okay.
Yep.
Questions so far? I want questions. I'm going to take a beat there and ask for questions. Thoughts?
Danny?
Yep, go ahead,
Danny?
Gail.
Okay, so yes, I agree with you. It's a little more complicated than that. The purpose of calling is I think it needs to...
Gail, hang on. Gail, hang on. I got all sorts of loud mics here. Go ahead. I had to mute a bunch of mics.
Okay, so, and I think we talked about this way long time ago, how us high eyes, we just love to chatter and get to know people and them to love us, and then forget to ask the right questions. So the purpose of having the outline is to remember your outcome, not to be involved in what the outcome will be, but the outcome is to call on the phone, ask them certain questions to provoke whether they're going to do anything, and then find out timing and motivation. Because I think, especially when you're working with new agents, they have to remember why they're on the phone. And for me, and I'm not new, I write it down when I'm calling. This is what I want to say. May I speak to this person? So, I make a goal. I want to make one appointment or whatever. But I do need to remember why I'm talking to them on the phone. Because for me, and you already talked about that, older people that are seasoned can make mistakes about that. So realize why you're there. Focus on that. And I think, you're going to accomplish a lot.
I don't know about leads from, I do know about leads, I should say, from Market Leader, Commissions Inc. Those take a while to do anything with, sometimes, usually, 80% of it. But I do think that you have to remember why you're on the phone. And that's really important because we can, I mean, I do. If I do, then they do too.
Right.
I get like, I'm talking to this lady at probate. Next thing you know, I forget to ask about this other question. I did, however, call her back because we got into this big conversation. So it was nice that we developed some kind of relationship, but I didn't ask some of the pertinent questions. So I called her back. So if I do that and I get involved and I forget, I call back.
Yeah.
I don't. I let that mini failure set me up to have another conversation with her. Oh, I know we just got done finishing speaking, but I do want to talk to you. I did want to ask you whatever the question was.
Yeah.
And she was really nice about it. She was, oh, yeah, Gail, send me your information. Here's my email address, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So there is no...
Yeah, agreed. Anita...
If you forget to ask the question, meaning the purpose that you're on the phone, the outcome is that certain questions, call them back.
Yeah, Anita. Yeah, Anita. Jumping on what she's saying here. What do you perceive is the problem of the agents? I don't necessarily want to hear from the agents what they perceive, because my guess is that they still need a firm understanding of the things that Gail and you are already aware of. But what do you perceive as the team leader is the problem with the follow-up phone calls? And in this case, today's context is internet leads that you're passing along. What is or are the problems?
I assume the problem is that, they have to get past that initial brush off and lead to a deeper conversation.
Okay. All right. So...
giving the client something of value, because if everyone, you walk into a shoe store and say, well, you're looking for shoes, and it's like, oh, I'm just looking, right?
Yeah.
Unless the salesperson says, hey, the shoes at the back of the store are 50% off, you may want to see some good styles there.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest issue is getting past that initial brush off and the determination to, maybe follow up again rather than just saying, okay, they don't need me, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay, great. So do you think they're folding tent that quickly when they get the brush off?
So one of my agents just hand wrote a note here saying that a lot of them will, because we also text them, and some will say, please stop texting or please don't text.
Yeah.
Which I get. You know what? You have to respect what someone wants, right? If they don't want to text, we stop texting them, right? But that's not everybody. I would say probably 10%, maybe 20%, but there's still 80% who we need to engage a little deeper.
Yeah. Well, look, let's start off with a premise. If you're a team leader and you pass information off to somebody else to follow up, my expectation is that 100% you need to follow through on that to a conclusion. And you need to get me a conclusion. If I'm a business owner and I pay for some activities, and it doesn't matter whether you give people leads or you don't, because several of us use different models. I don't. I used to, and I don't. I'm much more interested in empowering people to go out and find their own people because they have more skin in the game. But you better believe for instantly, if I'm going to give you a lead that costs me money to get, my expectation is you're going to pursue that vigorously to find out whether there's a potential for relationship building or not. So I think it really depends on what outcome we're looking for. Again, I just think agents are way too far down the line thinking about appointments. I can't tell you how many top producers say to me, can you help us reduce the number of no-shows? Yeah, sure. Stop overselling the appointment. You're overselling the appointment and you're not even listening to people. And a lot of the people are saying, sure, and they don't even really see the value in it, so they don't show. Or they're worse, they're saying it to just get rid of you. And then they go dark forever because they're like, oh my gosh, not that gnat again. So I think what you have to understand is that what is the outcome? Because Gail's talking about what is the outcome that has to happen. So contextually speaking, These are people that are coming in from the internet and they're curious about properties for sale. So in your mind's eye, if it were you following up with one of these leads, what is the next value added that you would bring to them?
Correct.
Well, I'm asking you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So if I'm the one on the call, basically, if they say, oh, I'm just looking, my general comeback is, what are you looking for? Maybe I can help you get even more information on, what you've been browsing through and send that over to you. That generally breaks down some defenses. And I also sometimes will tweak the call into a more personal level, saying, if I had someone who said, I just had a baby. I said, listen, I get it. You're sleep deprived. Let me help you, get the information without you spending so much time. Let me do the work for you.
Yeah.
And that generally will help.
Okay.
But
so,
I think what happens is the discipline of, first not getting totally offended with the brush off, and B, having the ability to continue following up and C, to mark it in the system as a follow-up for another date. I think that's where a lot of us, and I say us because myself included, we have a great conversation, we're all very happy, and then we forget to put down a follow-up date of a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever. And then out of sight, out of mind, and, we've lost that person.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where we need to emphasize that discipline also.
Yeah, well, look, but again, that's the purpose of the outcome. The first outcome is to do what? It's not to get an appointment. It's not. I'm just going to say that out loud thousands and thousands of times. It's to start a conversation that can lead to a prospect. It's the classic prospecting. I am trying to go into this pile of contact information, start a conversation by adding value in that conversation to see if that's going to allow me to begin a relationship. This is CRM building before it's an appointment ever. You can't just leapfrog these stages. There's no such thing, even if it does happen quickly. Let's just presume that you got somebody on the phone. You have a real good substantial value added. They've been getting properties from you. And you say, geez, after talking to you a little bit here, I think maybe one of the best things we could do is if we sat down and we went over your criteria a little bit more in depth, then that whole looking thing would be a lot easier. And furthermore, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a whole process to buying that I want to explain to you. And that's what makes us unique. So can we get together for 15 or so minutes to go over all this? If it's there, great, but you still went through the stages even if you did it quickly. In other words, you picked up the phone, you added value, you prospected. And as that prospecting moment went on, there was the opportunity for a deeper dive to meet, and there was enough value in it for them, but it's proper. You know the difference when it's proper. It's like Gail says. Gail gets into this discussion with somebody, it goes deeper. Intuitively, it's a close opportunity. You're like, well, why don't you just have Danny come over and take a look at the property? There's no pressure. I know you're not going to do something for 6 months, but he can go through our home seller course more personally. He can look at the hyper-local location of where you're at, the current condition, and we can coach you and educate you. It's this passion for that core content that really shines through when the moment is right. If it's just this nebulous scripted thing that's neuro-linguistic programming to just get them to say yes, it falls flat. But again, you went through these stages of prospecting, even if it's a yes to the appointment. So ultimately, the most important thing is to understand that you're prospecting to build a database whereby you can segment your follow-up. One gal says, you know what, I'm just looking, but I am going to do something next year when I get my new contract. Fabulous. Keep looking. By the way, what I'd like to do today is upgrade the information you're getting. You came in off this website, but you know what? If I put you directly into MLS, I can get more specific. It's direct from the source. It's not this mess of information online. It's direct. So what I'd like to do is do that. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for? Boom. Now I've taken that relationship deeper. Even though there's no appointment, I've got the inside track. Why am I rushing for something all the time when I would be better off to give a deeper level, establish a deeper relationship, and then segment it properly? My gosh, now I mean, I'm creating a competitionless vacuum if I have that inside lane. I'm not in this cattle call where if I don't call them in 5 minutes, my whole world blows up. I hate that. Go ahead. Laura's going to say something here. Go ahead.
From what I've heard you say, Anita, two things have stood out to me. It sounds to me that maybe your agents are slightly not really internalize the whole concept of being concierge. It's more like they're just kind of fishing for the cream, and if it's not there, then it kind of falls by the wayside. And two, if they're calling them and they, the person says, oh, I'm just browsing right now, thanks, but I'm all set. Like, to me, in my mind, Infusionsoft would continue that reminder of follow-up. My question is, why and how is the ball being dropped? Because I'm pretty sure you guys use Infusionsoft. So is it that they're just kind of, stopping the campaign at that point when they get that type of response?
I think that's something I have to check if they're putting a follow-up call in Infusionsoft, or we use two CRM. So yeah. Depending on where the lead comes in from. So yeah, I mean, that is mandatory to put in a follow-up, and we have it built in too, so that's there. So the question, I think the bigger challenge is once they say, I'm just browsing, I get the feeling that the lead is more discarded than being dug deeper into.
Yes, because the natural tendency is to cheat. The natural tendency for an agent is to cherry pick, to cheat. It's true for all of us. No one singular person is guilty of that. Everybody wants the easiest business that they can get. So the minute that and if you've heard a good lead even once, now you're super fine-tuned for that dog whistle because everything else comes dressed in overalls and looks like work. Because it is. But if we're ever going to build a solid book of business, it is the concept of going through this and prospecting, putting them into the database. But also, I'm going to go back and highlight what I said. Are you asking for, as your mindset, to keep asking questions to only get what you want, which is access to them face to face to turn them into something that they may not be right now, which is a client? I mean, if your mindset is to always drive for the instant client creation, you're missing how rich and deep this book of business can be by building it up. And look, if you've ever heard sales, like, don't be delusional. All of you, you didn't get into this business and not recognize that it's a pipeline. A pipeline cannot atrophy ever. So if you're just skimming cream, your business and your book of business is directly proportional to your energy level. 1 week
more work.
Makes a ton more work. You have to that you get up so that you can go forward and do it all over again. That's skimming the cream. That's selling on muscle. That is absolutely the worst business practice a real estate agent can have. So the concept is this, and I want Anita's team really paying attention to this. And I don't care if you have 12 years of experience. You're not going to blow me off, okay? You're not. Because that's an excuse. The problem is we don't know how to properly run a real estate agent business at the agent level. That is the number one problem. You don't know. You should all read Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth, right? It's the number one book you should read because you should understand he poses the question, do you know how this technical business works? So my job is to make sure you understand that the technical business is, in this case, Anita's doing marketing to generate contact information in what we would term a marketing module. That contact information is being shared, and not everybody does that. She should go up and give her a big hug. But if you are going to look at her and have the audacity to say, these leads suck, or they're not that good, until you have gone and diligently understood that conversion is the 1-2 punch, marketing and conversion, which means what? You put them into a database and you build relationship until they convert to one thing or the other, a client or they get kicked out. Period. So if you don't adhere to those systems, you're the cheater. It's on you. You're the problem. Look, we say that to ourselves every day. Are we the problem? Laura and I, in our own book of business, are we the problem today? Did we pursue this? Did we make a mistake? Because once you've done all the things that you possibly can to bring it to a positive conclusion, then you can look in the mirror and feel satisfied that the day went by. There's not an agent on a team, in a group, at a company listening to this call that isn't still the problem in a very big way. And that's us included. Yeah. But we've obsessed for 5.5 years trying to close those gaps so that we can help and lift up these consumers to the point where they'll either respond or they won't. But also, here's what I think also. We're always training for the skimming of the cream. Like, okay, so somebody says, I'm just looking. Oh, great. Awesome. Are you enjoying the website? You know, is the website working? Are you finding everything you need? Because truthfully, I could upgrade the information if you down the line, you think you're going to do something. We'll put you into MLS too, and you can see stuff directly like a realtor. Are you saying that? Or are you just, my term was, folding up the tent and going home? Right? I mean, what are you doing? Let's forget about scripting. Let's forget about it. Throw it away for a second. Are you attempting to carry on a conversation to see if you can help deeper? And you're not going to answer me. It's a rhetorical question. You know the answer.
And even if they say no, that doesn't mean that they're never going to buy. It just means that they're really early in the process and they're not ready for that.
Exactly. Why don't you just ask, would there be an appropriate time? Yeah, go ahead. Come on.
Yeah, this is Heather. Along all those lines, when I get that too, it's kind of like, it's a good opportunity to just be the friendly helper, because that's going to be the pull, that they actually get somebody online that they're telling you to back off, and you're friendly and you're thanking them for using your portal. You get to watch them bubble to the top. You get to watch their activity. You get to match their attitude when they talk to you with their actual activity online. So then you can start, getting ideas of how to be helpful. And it's just the nature of online leads is they're all gonna, in my experience, they all take a long time.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's really about how can you even be attract them to wanting to talk to you on the next time. When you just check it in and you just set expectation, is it okay?
Yeah. Is
it okay if I just check in with you from time to time, not to be a bother, but to make sure you're getting what you need? And like what Danny said too, we use the MLS as a tool to, I actually have even a better tool for you if you're interested, and with no pressure, but it gives you great information and you can save information differently.
Yeah. And
some of the hardest information to see online is what things sell for, and I have a tool that'll give that to you automatically.
Yeah, let me go and let me deal. Let me deal with how. Yeah, I think it's great. I like be the friendly, but again, I'll go back to the beginning of the call. Be the friendly in the context of being confident that you can help them. Right? I said this to Laura the other day. Laura's been doing this for 12 years and had this big epiphany.
Yeah.
If you take the core content that you know how to help a buyer when they need you, when a buyer has really made a decision or is making a decision over time, that you have you have coursework that can really help them. It's not like really buyers and sellers are delusional that it's about looking at sold properties or for sale properties online that somehow miraculously that's going to help them like buy or sell. And the worst people, as we've already discussed, are the ones that are most intellectually insecure. And sometimes they have 2 or 3, academic degrees. But you have to lean into those moments and say, look, I don't want to bother you. Here's the essence of this. When you're getting put off, don't just fold tent. Say, look, I understand that. I don't want to bother you. That's not my intent. But I also don't want to miss the opportunity to win your business when the time is right. When do you think that might be? I mean, that's it. You're just finding out, is this really going to be an endeavor that you go out and you do this? I don't care if it's 2 years from now, because guess what? I've got a killer follow-up system that I'm going to put you into. I'm going to follow up for a long period of time and help and help and help and help and help so that 24 months from now, I have a guaranteed deal. Now, to a lot of you, that sounds like, well, that's insane. Well, why is it insane? Are you in this business for the next 12 months?
They build the happiest clients.
You hear what she said? They build the happiest clients, the deepest relationships, where then when you create that person, it's not money, as we say. It's a happy past client who is likely to repeat and refer, which makes all of this much easier as time goes on. So there's this foundational building that you've got to be willing to go in there and do this. And it's predicated first on, like, look, be logical. I like what Heather was just sounding like, because what she was trying to do is be logical. Like, let's think about on the sell side, some of the frequently stated objections. We've all heard them. We already know what they are. So on the sell side, I'm all set. You mean you decided not to sell? Like, so when you're calling, for example, an expired or a probate or just a general lead, yeah, I'm all set. That's one of the quickest put-offs that there is in life. Kids say it all the time. I'm all set, guy. Right? Well, no. What does that mean? Does that mean you decided not to sell ever? No, I'm all set for now. You know, I've got a realtor. Oh, great. Are you open to a second opinion? I mean, you just want to then go get logical with them. But coming back to what Gail said, remembering why you're there, Gail and I are both guilty of having plenty of high I. And when we get going with our enthusiasm for what we're offering, there's a high likelihood that we forget why we're there. Now, the good news for me is I have enough D to match it, where I know why I'm there. I'm there in a business context, and I am here to be the friendly, like Heather said, but I am here to also get you the right help that you need. And I'm passionate about that. Now, if you don't want that, great. Just tell me so I can get you out of my CRM and so you're telling me that you never want to do anything buying a house. Is that right? Great. And you're really just looking, you have zero intention now or later. Is that right? Great. Fabulous. And then you just move off of them. Get them out of there. Maybe you leave them in the trash bin and they still get, people, houses because they're curious, and maybe they'll refer you. See, I think a lot of you forget that too. What about the people who said, I'm all set, and truly, after talking to them, you vet them and you find out they truly aren't going to make a move? Oh, great. If you know anybody else who could use our services, we've got a free home seller course too. I'm going to zip that magazine over to this email. So if you know anybody who is going to make a move, we'd appreciate if you could mention our services to them. You're missing that opportunity because everybody's just bailing out. Everybody is always so focused on what we want, or worse, what we need. See, we always feel this pressure when we need cash flow. So we totally throw our brains in the garbage the minute you need cash flow in small business. You freak out and you start pressing too hard and you're wondering why people are going away. And then you say, I'm just not good at this. No, you sound like a weirdo on the phone. You're scaring people away, right? You can't get what you want until you give them what they want. Got it? I'm going to say it again. You can't get what you want until you give them what they want, which is some happy, like Heather said, some help, some education that empowers them. And that will help them feel comfortable enough to reveal to you their true timing. Their true timing is really what you're after, not timing and motivation. Their true timing and the real reason why they're moving. But you're not going to get that from them until you give. All right, so let me just read a couple of these.
Text me Janice's number.
Whoop, hello? Guys, got live mics here, okay? So go ahead, Anida. You want to weigh in more on that?
No, I think we're good on that.
Okay. Give me some of the objections, ladies, that are on her team. What are you thinking as you listen to this? Where are you at with this? Go ahead, Susanna.
I've been doing what you said, like offering a service, how to help, but I've been having trouble because I've been leaving voicemails, sending text, email, and not very many people are getting back to me.
Yep.
So I don't know if I'm doing what you're saying and hitting them too hard that I'm scaring them, or, I'm just not getting a lot of feedback from anybody.
Yeah, it's tough. The internet leads especially. because like Laura said, they're so early in the process. And I'm going to let her weigh in on this in a second, Susanna, to give you the techniques that she's found successful, because we're always adjusting. Those leads are at the very genesis of the thought process, meaning that's think about it. The instant I have an inkling for a move, I'm on my phone typing in, real estate for sale in Monmouth, right? That's what I'm doing.
Right.
So that's so early in the process. Again, what they want at that point is certainly what they need. What they need is your course. What they need is your 6 steps. They need that, but they don't know that yet. And they don't know you yet. So you're right. It's this sort of Goldilocks, the bed is just right type of thing. When do we press? When do we not press? So let me let her weigh in on that a little bit too, as to what her techniques are. Go ahead.
Well, I can say you're not alone. It's extremely common, as Danny mentioned, with buyer leads. I have some that I've been following up since 2013. Okay? 2013.
Right.
And I'm continuing to reach out, give information. Sorry.
It's okay. Hold on. We got sales calls coming in hot, and she's got her loud and hot number on. Go ahead.
So I know it can get exasperating when you hear nothing, and it's just like, what am I doing? I'm hearing crickets. I'm not getting, any sort of responses. But just know, you have to own that they do appreciate the information. They're just truly not ready to make that next step or communicate with you further. Yeah. I just, said to Danny recently, the ones that do communicate with you, that do respond, those are the ones that you run with in that moment. Doesn't mean that these leads that you continue to follow up with won't have some sort of response down the road, whether that be 6 months, a year, 3 years, it's just the reality of buyer leads. And then there might be some that fall off or, purchase with someone else. It's just the nature of the business. But it's just the consistency of being helpful, giving them free information, checking in, being that person that is of top of mind when they are ready to communicate.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is the mix of business matters. Anybody on this call, especially my team leaders, Paul and Patrick, will tell you this in a heartbeat. You can't be all internet business or you'll go mad, I think. I think you'll go insane because it takes the most patience, like she just said. And a lot of it, Susanna, you are talking to yourself. You are leaving messages. And really, you can lighten them up there and make it more about what they want at that moment, which is access. Hey, Danny, I saw that, I just want to leave a message. I don't want to bother you, but I saw that you saved this property, so I took the liberty to send you the whole full listing sheet. That should be in your email. That's value added. Yes, it is a one-sided conversation. Yes, it is a belief system that will pay off, because it will. But more importantly, if you're looking for greater satisfaction in this business, think about what else you should be doing in addition to what Anida is helping you do. And that is, you should be screaming to get into her open houses, to go direct with consumers, to prospect direct face-to-face, to get the satisfaction of real live kinesthetic human interaction in and around the offer that you're trying to make to people. Your friends and family, how many of those people are in your database or in the back end of the MLS? Where is all that business too? See, I think the internet's a dangerous place if it's not supplemental to all the good rudimentary hustle business that we should be doing. I do it to this day when I have my agent cap on. I'm in open houses. We're closing a deal with an open house buyer that we met a while ago, and we harvested that relationship, and Laura followed up so that by the time they were ready, 6 houses offer under agreement. So, you have to understand how the business works. How many prospects, Susanna, do you have in some database and you know specifically what their timing is? That's your quest, as it is everybody else's. And it should be a variety of sources behind those prospects. Does that make sense?
Right.
Right? Or go deeper.
On another note also, talk about the open houses. I know we all go to the open houses, but I think where the discipline falls, and I see this over and over and over again, with all of us, and I include myself in this, Monday morning comes, we get tied up with, other stuff, and we don't follow up with those open house leads. And we've missed opportunities.
It's a tragedy.
So,
yeah, it's a tragedy.
It's very tragic because I can tell you, I had someone who thankfully came back to me because of Infusionsoft.
Yep.
Only reason is I gave him he had a realtor, believe it or not.
Of course.
The only reason is I gave him a damn good tour of the house and he liked my knowledge on the area. And 5 months later, he found me. So go figure. So there were some systems in place, but shame on me, I never called a man again.
Yeah, right. Well, look.
We closed up $100,000 deals.
Look, let's get this straight. This is not a scripting problem because everybody knows how to talk to a human being. And Heather gets a gold star today for saying be the happy, or do the happy, whatever the heck you said. I loved it, right? It's like, did we just have a lobotomy the minute we enter into a sales context and we forget how to talk to people, right? I mean, like you don't know that you're trying to determine whether they're serious or not? I mean, it happens to us all the time when we enter, an automobile parking lot, when we enter the grocery store and we're walking up and down the aisle looking lost. It happens to us every day. Are you telling me that all of you don't know how to carry on a conversation with a human being? Okay? Come on. That's number one beat. But what's a tragedy is the minute somebody expresses interest, nobody's teaching you that it is imperative to get the right contact info, make a note of the correct type of follow-up, and get it memorialized somewhere. I don't care if it's Wire Racks, or if it's Infusionsoft, or if it's Lion Desk, or if it's Top Producer. I don't care. I'm just saying, can you produce for me? If I'm the Inspector General of this group, and I come to your office, can you print me out a list of your pipeline of prospects, and can you explain to me where you found them? When they're going to do something, right? Can you? Because that's all you need to know. Because now your frequency of follow-up, the automation, and by upgrading them out of any platform into MLS, which you all pay your dues for, and every MLS in the back end has something like that where you can thereby, put them in. So, I mean, that's the whole point here, gang, is that do you have a database of prospects that you're building? And each one of them is getting a different type of follow-up. Yes or no? I'm going to make it rhetorical today because I don't want you to feel all beaten up. But I'm being passionate and vigorous about this today because even at the top level of growing a company, I have to be obsessed with my agents about where's your pipeline? You have every single tool that I use with my own pipeline. And every week, Laura and I say, gang, do you know how we do so much business? Because we know where every one of our leads stands, even those that we're talking to ourselves and they haven't responded. We know. And we have a system to thereby eventually kick them out of the way because we have to make a business decision and not waste time. So this is not just a sales technique. It is a sales business we need to discuss with you. And that's where Nida was going, right? Laura comes in here every day and she has a cache of people that she calls first. They're called clients because they need the most attention. Then she moves downwards to the hottest prospects, meaning those that are getting weekly or bi-weekly follow-up. Then she moves down to the longer term ones to put the softer touch on them. And a lot of those are the one-sided conversation. And some of them are disappearing with kick-out emails. That's it, right? You build it left to right, you work it right to left, meaning lead, prospect, client, you work it client, prospect, lead. That's the direction because the ones that are closest to becoming a closing are right up there at the front. So this is about blocking the disciplined time to say that, Anita, they should be disciplined enough to bring to a weekly team meeting a list of their prospects by name and discuss them out loud. It attaches them to it. And really, ladies, if you want to do a deal a month, 2 deals a month, how many prospects do you really even need? Right? How many do you need? Thoughts. Give me some thoughts there. Susanna, could you print me a list of prospects? Yes or no?
I could.
Okay. How many are on there?
Off the top of my head, I don't know because I'm rather new. I'm only like 2 months in. But yeah, I have, because I called for Anita. Like, I have her leads that she's handed to me, so I'm kind of like helping to build her business. So, I mean, I've gone through, I want to say maybe 200, I would say, about.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
I contacted.
But those are leads. Then what happened?
Yeah.
They either made it up the ladder to prospect, and there's 5 different types of prospects in my world, and I'll explain it to you in a second, or trash. Get them out of there. They were bad information.
Now,
they have
let me
Yeah, go ahead. Come on.
My question is, so you're saying get them out of there. When do I decide to get them out of there? When I've heard nothing from them?
No.
Like, how long do I keep them there?
Good. Our best practices, and I'll leave it to Anita, it's her business. Our best practices in this group at the mastermind level and in my own business with Laura, the best practices used to be 3, 4, 12. Okay? You would get a lead, call it 3 days in a row, try to get it. Drop the frequency to once a week for a month, and then once a month for a year. Well, we were like, okay, a couple of the folks in this group that do a good job, Terry in New Mexico, Laura, Robin, there was a bunch of people that said, yeah, that's kind of over pursuit. So why don't we do 3, 4, 1, then let it bake for 90 days, take one more hack at it, and then send them a kick-out email that says, hey, Bubba, looks like you're not, getting stuff, or we're not hearing from you before we delete your account. We just want to make sure that you're out, okay? And then we delete them. So that's our best practices for a lead. 3, 4, 1, a 90-day bake and a kick-out. That's what we decided worked well for us, okay? So that's what I would say. Then we're certain we gave it the best try. It's not foolproof. It's not 100% because we'd love somebody to tell us to go away, to be certain about it, but we can't dig in that deep. You follow?
Danny, can you slow that down again? 3, 4, 1. I got the 3 calls. What's the 4 and the 1 again?
3 calls in a row, 3 days in a row. 4 once a weeks in a row, and then 1 30 days later. So you're calling them today, tomorrow, the next day. Then you're going a week later, a week later, a week later, a week later, then a month later, then 90 days later, and then kicked out. That's enough. At that point in time, if they're not using your software, meaning you have no way to understand where they're at, and this is just for internet leads, Heather, expireds are a whole other animal where they either relist with somebody else, tell you go away, or they have you over. So see, I love leads to the extent that I can bring them to a conclusion and know that Laura and I are not the problem. So, but Heather, you already have that built into your Infusionsoft. It's already there. And if you don't, we need to chat about, why not? Because the long-term kick-out, is definitely how we cleanse it. We don't keep too many people in.
Hey, Danny?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, the biggest frustration for everybody here is it's kind of a one-way street where we're reaching out, but they don't respond.
For sure.
Which I think we have to take it and see how we would do. So if I'm looking for a car, I will call different, dealers, and I get on their email, and I get emails and phone calls and what have you, right? The reality is I never call anyone back. So how are we any different in real estate? So we cannot afford to get frustrated because no one calls us back or responds.
Yep.
Because when the time is right, if we are top of their mind, that's the person they'll reach out to.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Look, I just went through the car leasing process, and I was only going to do business with one guy. He's the only guy that never really asked me for what he wanted. He just kept educating and educating and educating. And as frustrating as we were, he just kept giving and giving and giving. And I'm going to tell you, as much as I love the product and I was going to buy the product, I had an alternative product, and those guys were horrendous at giving, and they were horrendous at follow-up. I was actually giving them call signs. So prospects pursued, run away. Prospects pursued, run away. Prospects pursued, run away. So what do you do in return or in as an alternative? You bring them in, you magnetize them by giving. You guys and gals just still don't really understand how powerful the law of reciprocity really is, because you're not trusting it. You're not giving enough. I had one of our own mastermind members tell me the other day that she thought that by giving away the home seller course, we're actually teaching people how to sell it themselves. And her perception is that there's a lot of people in her marketplace selling it themselves. I said, fabulous. Be that person. Become known as that person that empowered every for sale by owner. Because while you're doing that, there are plenty of other people that have zero intention of selling it themselves. Because if that was the majority of the way this business went down, then indeed that's the way everybody would do it. It's just wrong. It's just inaccurate thinking. It's not the way the business works. We are so in our own way. Give, 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 give. And then when they're ready, oftentimes we've heard from people online that said, I'm so sorry I haven't gotten back to you. I just wasn't into it. But just guess what? I finally sold my house. I'm ready to go. I'm coming down this weekend, right? I mean, is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah. We've just had them just come out of nowhere and say,
Undoubtedly.
it's all the time, she's saying. All the time. So it is maddening, but it is a digital age reality.
It's just the way the business is now.
It is, right. And it wasn't, so that you're right, Anita, that shift and that way that we expect it to happen wasn't. So I'm highly suggesting that you've got to go out and get some kinesthetic experience with open houses too, to talk to real people, or you'll go mad until this
Yeah,
is,
do that.
hold on. This is my biggest point here today. And it is the evolution of the solving of the problem. I'm just looking. I know you're just looking. That's awesome. I just want to make sure that what you're looking for or at is what you want. Is it technically correct? Are you getting the right stuff? Because I can upgrade you to MLS. And by giving that, you're going to win that opportunity for them to tell you a little bit more about their true timing. So you can decide whether to punt them there or put them into where. Susanna, where do they go if they give you a little bit of life and tell you when? Where do they go? Tell me what you would do next.
If they give me a little bit of life, then they wouldn't become a lead. They'd become more of a prospect. I would set them up on MLS so that they would get properties that are in their criteria. And then I'd follow up maybe after a few days to see if they were receiving it, they're happy, you just start a conversation.
Okay, so there's the only difference I'm going to fix in the end. What we did was we recognized the ability in the digital age to follow up at frequencies that matched relatively close to their timing. So if somebody says, I'm going to do something relatively soon, our only decision here is to whether to have a weekly or a bi-weekly follow-up reminder for ourselves. Okay? And again, ours is all automated, so it's going to keep coming at us so that we're managed by a system. But let's just say it's wire racks for who are my weekly calls? Who are my bi-weekly prospect calls? Then, longer term, who are my monthly, who are my bi-monthly? And then really way out there, if you really want to have a book of business for long term, who are my quarterlies? So we actually have 5 buckets that we can put you into depending on when you tell us you're going to do something. You want to add to that?
No, sorry, I was responding to someone.
Okay, sorry. She's negotiating a deal as we speak, right? So there you go. Thoughts about that? Anita and your team, thoughts about that? Because we're at the end of the hour here. I'll go a little bonus time for comments and questions, especially from my mastermind members who I haven't heard from, who are sitting here too quietly today. But this was an important subject that Anita wanted to cover. Let's recap. 1, block the time. Own some times to do this. This is not a random walk. You need to own some clear times during the week where your husband, your kids, your friends, the world cannot interrupt you. Block the time. It's the number 1 thing. Number 2, have an outline for what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. Your introduction, you're recontexting them, meaning, hey, it's me. We're the ones that are sending you that stuff. I want to make sure it's working. That's a great icebreaker. Okay. Now, when they get to the objections, use logic. Hey, I'm just looking. Great. How's the looking going on our site? Lean in. Stop running away. That's really important, right? And then, of course, The whole idea here is the act of creating one of two things. A prospect who you think now, how often should I be following up with that particular prospect? Once they become a prospect, you're individualizing it more because they've given you a clearer idea of what's too much or what's too little. Think of Goldilocks when you are going out and creating prospects, right? Is it too soft? Is it too heavy? You're looking for just right for each individual. Segment your database weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, bare minimum. And don't be afraid to go back to a NIDA or in your own book of business when you create someone to kick them out when they are no longer real. That's the key. All right, give me some thoughts there from that team first and then the rest of the group. Anida, Susanna, and anybody else that's in the room. Thoughts, questions?
Anida just had to step out, but I'm okay with what you've discussed, and I'm going to implement.
Awesome.
Not take it, to heart. Well, it just gets frustrating when you don't hear from anyone. That's all, and just keep plugging away.
Correct. It's a digital reality, and in the long run, it will pay you. Don't be afraid to kick them out if there's really no heartbeat at all. Okay, but even if there's
they're a bit couple of no heartbeat. So
yeah, boot them. Boot them. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. I don't want
Danny.
you drowning. Yeah, go ahead. Who's that? Paul? Oh.
Paul, yeah. Yeah, so, I struggle with this, too, because I'm the main ISA,
Yep.
obviously. Well, at this point, I'm the only ISA because I had to let my last one go. It was really good. But, I'm going into these with a reality check of like, hey, you only have the mental bandwidth to do so much because you're trying to do so many other things.
Yeah.
So my goal is, minimum of 25 calls a day, 7 days a week, which is, 175 calls, which is pretty decent, on top of everything else. But I'm looking at stuff that even the ISA that I thought was pretty good, she talked to him back in November or December, tagged him 3-year S, which is, a quarterly follow-up or whatever. And, there was nothing there to follow up with. It's like person said, just curious, no interest in selling. Sure, it's on the dialer. I'll leave a voicemail. But at that, I leave the voicemail and I make my note to my admin in the Philippines, and it's like, Jim Brown, 12:30, no NA, no answer.
Yeah.
LVM, left voicemail. NOM, no name on number. Delete contact. So I'm just punting. I'd say if I make 25 calls, I am punting 15 to the delete can.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to have these same 25 calls come up in 3 months. It's just useless.
For sure. Absolutely.
And,
for sure. For sure.
It's garbage. It's garbage. Whimsical
Yep.
inquiries. Excuse me.
Yep.
From Sync or Prime Seller or Boom, I don't care what online platform you use, 90% of them are crap.
Yep.
And if you have someone else paying for them, great. Let them pay for them. We do get business. Obviously, every year we make, a couple $100,000 from these leads, but to dig through them endlessly, it's not worth it.
Yep. That's right. You got it. So, and that's why I said everybody has to be bold enough to first of all, in Anida's case, she's giving these to agents. They need to do their job, which is be diligent and make a real diligent effort to contact these people. Anything that they can't prove that they made that diligent, that burden is on them. But once that's done, there needs to be a clear business decision. Stop wasting time pursuing a deadbeat contact. Stop. Because there's so many other things that you could be doing with that time, not the least of which is running an open house, calling your sphere of influence, cutting a video about what's going on in the marketplace. There's too many other things to do that are digitally relevant and easy and no to low cost that you're writing all these letters, to past clients and Sphere. Fabulous. That's great.
Yeah.
That's the key.
And I don't want any team leaders or especially any of the team members, on those teams to think that I'm saying in any way, shape, or form that all online lead gen that we're giving to our agents are garbage. That's
Right.
not the point. What I'm trying to do is reinforce your point, which is draw a conclusion, and don't be afraid to punt somebody. If they literally say, hey, I was just curious. I have no intention of selling. We're going to be here forever. Don't put a 3-year tag on them. Just punt that, because there's no point in clogging up your sales funnel. But if you can't reach them, like you said, you have to be diligent and follow whatever strategy the team leader. We have ours, you have yours, and Ida has hers. Everybody might have a little bit different one.
Right.
but follow it to conclusion
That's
one
right.
way or the other.
That's right.
It's
That's-
definitely important. I'm not saying they're all garbage. It's
Nope.
not, you know, at all. What
No, I got you, and thanks for clarifying. Bravo. The effort needs to be there, and then the decision, the business decision. Let's just leave it at that. That's very well put.
real.
Yep, very well put. All right, everybody, listen. Good job here.
Thanks, Danny.
Good job here today. That's a heavy subject. Go to work, and remember, you're a sales business owner. You're not just a salesperson. You're a business owner. And in our business, you have to be building a database that's loaded with prospects who are giving you the time of day, and you have a chance to service at the right frequency and build that book there, and the rest will follow. Okay? Good work, everybody. Talk to you next week. Go out and practice this stuff so you bring it back next week. We see how it all goes. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Danny.
Take care, guys.